That will be $10,000 and we might have something to show you in about 3 months. Sound familiar? That's what happens when most people try to bring their app ideas to life through traditional development. In this course, I'm going to show you how Bolt.New completely transforms this experience, letting you build professional websites, web apps, and even mobile applications in a fraction of the time and costs it normally takes. How many apps, websites, or digital products have you dreamed up only to have them die in your Notes app because you don't have $10,000 or coding skills to make them real? So whether you're an entrepreneur with big ideas or just someone who wants to create without breaking the bank, by the end of this course, you'll be able to build stunning responsive websites, create interactive web applications, develop mobile apps that work on iOS and Android, master some advanced Bolt.New techniques, and also have a bit of fun with some special bonus projects that I'll put at the end of this course. Most courses teaching these skills cost hundreds of dollars, but I'm just sharing everything I've learned over the last 6 months using Bolt.New to help people like you turn your ideas into reality. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Grab some coffee and let's begin. Before we get into it, there's an advanced section at the end of this course where we talk about advanced vibe coding and SEO, and there's tons and tons of prompts there. So I just want to let you know that in the description you can sign up for free and get all these prompts for free. I spent the whole day on it yesterday creating this document, so let's get onto it. All right, so the best way to actually get started with Bolt is just to see what it can create. So we're going to start with websites. So everybody loves a website, like websites run the whole internet, right? So great thing about Bolt is that you can just get a website done straight away, really fast. And let's think about when that's most beneficial is when you just want that website right now, for an MVP or something you want to just show somebody. If you just want to start thinking about, oh, what is a website I can create? Then this is the best thing that you can create in Bolt.New. So let's do that now. Okay, so you can just describe whatever it is you want to build. I'm just doing an example here. So build me a website for my gardening business. It is based in Dublin, Ireland, and my services include landscaping and maintenance. Okay, so all you need to do is click go, and Bolt will do a first draft website for you. And this is just super, super fast. So it's writing all of the code here. This is where all your files are stored, right? So on the left, you see all your files. We'll go into that a little bit deeper in a minute. But you can see that your code is here and your preview is here. So once this is finished installing all the things it needs, right? This isn't being installed on your computer or anything. It's just being installed in Bolt. So let's have a look at our first draft. You can see the previews coming up here, and we have an image, everything, Dublin Garden Services. Okay, we have that, and we have our services that I mentioned, right? And a little contact form. So a very simple website, but this is only the preview, right? If you want to actually see the website, just click on this open preview in separate tab and you'll see it in full view. So it's super handy that you can actually see what your website looks like. And down here in the box here, you just basically ask for what it is you want. So for example, I might want a header. So like a header at the top of the website, I think is better. So let's ask for that. Can you add a header to my website with my services listed? Okay, so now that's going to create a new file, right? In my code base here with a header. And yeah, we're going to see what it looks like now. Okay, as you can see, we have our header now. So we've got Dublin Garden Services, we've got the services, landscaping, maintenance, and our contact, which goes down to the bottom, right? When you click on it, right? So obviously this is kind of like a first step website. What I use a lot is this inspector button here. So I inspect this and I say, okay, like let's change this. So let's say add a logo. That would be pretty cool. No, if we had a logo there, or change the color of the writing, whatever it is you want, just use the inspector button to inspect, and then it will change that exact part. So this is really good, especially if things are starting to get complicated, then you just change that specific piece. Okay, so we got our little logo back here as a little flower, looks cool. Okay, so let's see, we just click on the inspect and then change here. So you can see here it says selected for inspection, right? So that's really, really handy. Let's call it Dublin gardening. Okay, let's call it that instead. Change the text. I probably should have said, okay, change the text, right? But it should understand that anyway. So it does understand a lot of things. Okay, that's great. That worked out pretty well. That it changed the name, right? So you can just go through whatever it is you need, change the style, the numbers. Okay, these are obviously just dummy information, right? That it has created for us, but we can just do it for our own website, right? You can change the background photo or something like that. A very important feature that they just launched is this chat feature. So if you're not really sure about something, you can chat with it like you would chat with ChatGPT, right? So you just say, let's think of an example now. Okay, so if you want to just discuss something, it's best to just use this discussion. This is connected to Google Gemini, right? So you can actually chat, and it has tons and tons of information. So something like this, right? How can I improve the website to get more sales? You don't want to just implement that because it's going to start changing everything without actually giving you an idea of what it could be, right? And that might be super wrong, or something crazy, right? So in this way, we can just use the discussion, right? And it creates a plan for us. So let's have a look at the plan. Is add a testimonial feature. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Image gallery, right? I don't actually want that. So don't include the image gallery, right? If you don't have good photos, then that might not be good. You see, so that's one of the good things about the discussion feature. You can just go back and forth, and this costs a lot less credits, right? So when you are using Bolt, of course, you will be using credits. So it's very important to think about that, because every time you create you use this one without the discussion, right, you're going to use a lot of credits to change all of the code, right? These little changes, that's why this is great. This inspector button doesn't cost a lot of credits because it doesn't do a lot of coding. But if you make big changes on the website, then obviously you're going to use a lot more credits. Okay, so now I have a better plan that I like better. So let's just implement these improvements. So you can actually go through the code here and give you some examples in the discussion, but let's just actually try and implement these improvements. Okay, so it has implemented the improvements. I definitely encourage you to read through all of this to make sure it's doing stuff that you want, right? So we have this what our clients say, right? So obviously people want testimonials if they want to sell, if they want to see if other people are buying, stuff like that. And some frequently asked questions. Cool. Okay, so you can see, like, just with a few clicks and a few added ideas, now we're starting to get more and more of a professional website. Okay, but it's still a very, very simple website, right? So let's actually create another page, right? So we can actually create another page here. Just say, let's say this is our landscaping service. So we can do the discussion again and create a service page for our business. Okay, so create me a service page for my landscaping service. I charge $1,700 thousand seven. Create me a service page for my landscaping service. I charge $1,700 per garden. Okay, I'm just giving an example. I have no idea. So I also want to link it to this. So link from this element. Okay, so it's going to actually create the plan now to do this new page. So AI does get lost a lot, so this is great to always give it a plan and context. So now I'm happy with that, right? And I can just implement this plan. Okay, and now we have our landscaping page. You could also add that up into the services here, but for the moment, now we have our professional landscaping service with our little package here. Okay, it has a button there. You can book your own free consultation, right? That's not going to save now, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's a nice little page, right? You can see that looks really cool. But what if you want to change this image here? You have your own image of your own service, of yourself or something like that. Well, let's do that now, right? So to do that, just go into the code here and we'll create a new folder, right? So just call that public. And all you need to do is drop that into your public folder there. So we have our download there, right? So it's there, but it can't be displayed here. So we'll just copy this path, right? And then we'll say, okay, let's copy that down. We've copied the path, right? So replace the background image in the landscaping service. Okay, let's use the element. It's very good, right? With this image, right? Okay, so we got our first error. Errors are quite common, right? Depending on the complexity, right? So we got an error there. I'm not really sure why this is. So let's discuss the problem first. So that, again, we can give the AI context. It probably could be an image, a problem with the image, right? Okay, it seems to understand the problem here. So I'm just reading it here. It says it does not exist. So let's just try to fix the bug. It seems like a little small bug. Okay, so it fixed the bug. And yeah, like I said, my image was not optimized, right? So it changed my image. I just got it from Google there a second ago. And yeah, it's not looking good, obviously. So yeah, but I'm just giving this as an example. But if you do find bugs, which is quite a common thing to happen, right, that things go a little bit wrong, you could just try it a few times. If you try it like 5 or 6 times or 8 times and you're getting frustrated, yeah, it's probably not going to work if you keep on trying and trying and trying. So just click this roll back to checkpoint, discuss the problem. I often copy in the context to ChatGPT and do the whole thing and just try to ask ChatGPT to solve it. Might come up with something better and new, right? That this AI doesn't understand. So that's one way of doing it, or just going straight into the code and saying, okay, like let's say this part here, we can talk about the code, right, of this one and just copy in all of this and say, okay, what copy this into ChatGPT, and or you can just ask Bolt here and say, what's happening here? What's the problem here? Maybe it gets it a little bit more specific and it can help you, right? Another thing you can do is actually lock stuff. So you can just lock this file and say, okay, I never want to change that. And now it's locked, right? Or you can target it, right? So you can target this file, where the image or the landscaping page that we created, right? So that's really good if you want to just make short, small changes, right? It's really, really good. So imagine we are happy now with our site, right? What you can do is just deploy it, right? So you want to get this site live. So to get it live, you want to just click this deploy button, and Bolt will actually deploy it. It has an integration with a tool called Netlify, and Netlify will host your website, right? I just saw recently that they've already hosted 1 million websites that people have made with Bolt.New. So it's insane that they have created so many websites, right? So here we have our website. This is our address, right, of our website here that we have. Obviously, this isn't a great address because, yeah, nobody's going to find that, right? So one thing you can do is claim your website. So you claim your website here. So to claim the website, you click on it here. So you will need to create an account with Netlify and just click this claim apps button here. And then this site will be added to your sites, right? You can see here, there's my new website that I have. And when I click on this, I can see my website as it exists now. So it looks okay, it looks good. It's just a basic website, but you can see how fast we actually got this going, right? So really cool that we actually got this. So the next thing you'll probably want to do is to actually set a custom domain. So you can bring your domain over to Netlify or buy a new domain for this. So, so it could be mygarden.com or whatever the website will be, right? And you can search for it and buy it here. Super easy to do. And then it will just be like an hour or so and it'll be ready they'll change this name to whatever name that you buy. They're usually about $15 or so. So if you're looking for cool designs and stuff for your website, then I'll link a couple of these down below in the description, right? So this is Figma, right? You can only use these designs in Bolt at the beginning. So if you're starting off a website and you're like, oh, I like this one or something like that, let's say you like this web design, then we can actually use this, directly in our Bolt website. So that looks pretty cool. I like the way that looks. This Nike shoe website. Okay, so like that looks pretty cool website, doesn't it? So let's see if we can get this into Bolt. So all you need to do is just select it all like that. And there's a couple of ways you can do. You can actually just you can delete this point at the start and just go Bolt.New and then / and then this will open up a new project with Bolt. So let's see that. So what you need to do is just select all of this here and then just copy this as your first prompt into Bolt. So just copy that address in like that. So we just need to copy link to selection here and then copy it into Bolt like that. And now it's going to generate the code for us and build something that's like almost 99% similar to the image that we created, right? So Figma is more of a tool that you can use for design purposes, right? This is what designers use. So they design things, and you can add like any little thing. You can find way more videos about Figma on YouTube, obviously. So if you want to design stuff. So one of the downsides of this is, of course, that we can only do it from the start. So in the case of our gardening website, then it's not going to work straight away, is it? Because we already have a lot of that done. Okay, so you can see it there in Bolt, right? It's not clickable because I didn't click on the auto layout. So what you need to do is to add auto layout, right? You can see there's different layers here. So what you do here is add auto layout, and then that will make all this stuff clickable as well. Super, super cool. Right, but as I was saying, it's not great if it's good at the start of of the website, but if you want to add things, then you can use this website here. It's called 21st Dev, right? So it has all of these like little cool components. That's pretty cool, right? And little headlines and stuff like that. Beautiful little animations, loads and loads of stuff here, right? Look at that. That's pretty cool here. You can see an amazing component. Might not be the best one for our gardening website, but here's one with a robot doing stuff. Here's one with scroll animations. So really amazing things. So let's find one that will be good for our gardening website and add that, will we? Okay, so let's go with this one as the headline, right? And what we can do is just open the component here. And as you can see here, we have the bold prompt here. So you just need to copy the prompt, right? So it's like it's ready for Bolt.New, right? So we can just copy that and just copy it into Bolt. So in that prompt, it has all the things that Bolt needs to actually create all of that. Those certain styles, right? So we can actually get some gorgeous little components and things that you can add to your website. Okay, so now I can just say change my headline to use that component. All right, so we have the website up to here, but there's certainly something that we can add to all websites that makes them better. Basically, and that is content, right? So content is something that I create a lot of, obviously videos, but blog posts as well work really well. I've had like 10, 12 million people visit my websites over the last 5 years or so, just by creating content for them. So why don't we do that now and add some content to this? You can add content to any type of website, really, but as we're working with this website, let's just add it to this. So, first of all, you want to go into Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever and say, create me a taxonomy for my website called Dublin Garden Services. So this will basically just, give all the pages that AI expects to find on the page, basically. It'll be like the about page, all of that. But we can really work with this to kind of think about, oh, this could be good content or something like that. Of course, you can think about it yourself and go choose like a sub niche, right? Just try to choose a sub niche and then try to dominate that, right? So here we have like the about us and all the pages that AI might expect. So yeah, like there we go. We have all the services. We can see that this is great. All the little pages, that all the topics that you might need, right? And here's the keywords, right? Okay, so let's now ask for 5 blog post titles based on lawn care. So I just picked like one of these first ones, right? You can decide in your website what is the best one. I said make them low competition with high search potential. Okay, these tools can't really find out if something is low competition, right? You have to do a bit of that research yourself. There are tools that can do that, but I will go into SEO a bit later on in this video as well. Okay, so it's actually gone into, and it's taking into account, right, that my website is in Dublin. So in Dublin, maybe things are a bit mossy, right? And that's true as far as I know, and all of these different, so really nice little topics here. And you can see why it's low competition, high search potential, right? So it's a very frequent pain point. Okay, so let's actually do some research on this. So let's take this one here, right? And we'll put it into the deep research mode, right? So we'll say, okay, let's do some research, right? On this one. Okay, so you can say do some research for my blog post for my website, and you would put your website in there, right? And this is going to go off and find all the information, and then we're going to ask that to write the article based on the results. Okay, so while that's doing that, we want to actually set up our blog, right? So let's ask Bolt now to add our blog. So we use something called an Astro blog. So we want to add an Astro blog to the existing website. So this is kind of SEO optimized so that basically Google can read the text on the page a bit better, and you'll see what it looks like now. So I asked in the discussion feature here about adding this, so it's created a plan for me. So I just need to implement my plan. Okay, so up here now we have our blog post, right? So you can see we have a kind of a blog here, and it's written by different people. So it's actually even gone in and picked some topics that are interesting for our blog. It's a garden blog, right? And it goes back to home, right? So these aren't actually pages, but they have little topics here. Maybe we can, no, we can't click into that. Okay, that's fine. We'll probably delete them anyway and use our own blog posts. So now I have my research, right? So it's like the damp Dublin climate. So it's going into specific things that we need to think about and all tables, all right? So it's done a lot, right? So that's fine. So now I can say, write me a blog post. Formatted correctly with H1s, H2s, H3s. That's just how blog post is usually formatted, right, on your page. So it kind of breaks it down for people to read easier. So we'll also add a few bits of information here, say make it highly engaging to read, and add bullet points and bold the text where necessary. A little bit like this, okay? It makes it a little bit easier to read. But what you can see here, this text is like, that's not very easy to read. There's just like a whole big 6, 7, 8 sentences all together there. So I said vary sentence and paragraph length so people can read the information better. And then we'll say use only 1 to 2 sentences per paragraph, right? So especially if people are reading on a phone, right, it should be only 1 to 2 sentences per paragraph. Okay, no big blocks of text. I hate that. Right, let's see what we get from that. Okay, and now we have our article. It looks really good, right? You can see reads really, really well, and doesn't even look like AI, to be honest, right? And we have it on Google Docs as well. Super simple, just export it with our headings and all that. So let's copy this now into Bolt, and let's just say add a new blog page with this text. All right, so let's move on now to web apps. So we've done the websites part, right? It's a good thing to do is also to make a web app. So one thing I think you need to think about is how web is, AI has just literally transformed everything. So if you think about it, lots and lots of things need to be redesigned and redone with AI, because AI does things first. It executes for us, like what Bolt is doing. And now we have like these AI tools can just literally help everything. So I think you do need to think about ideas, right? What ideas? But the more apps that you make, the more ideas come. That's the way I found it anyway. So let's get on to making web apps with Bolt. Okay, so let's get started creating our web app now. So we have Bolt.New open here, but of course we need a web app idea, right? So I thought we'd just ask a Gemini, right? So I'm using the new model, 2.5 Pro experimental, and you can just use this prompt if you want to find some AI SaaS ideas, right? I think the best way to do it really is just create something simple enough that, people want, solves a problem, right? And we can use AI in this. I think we need to be using AI, I suppose. So yeah, I said I want to create an AI powered SaaS service. So I'm an indie developer who wants to create the service on my own in 1 to 2 months max. And please provide me with top 30 niches that I can create a product, right? So for each niche, provide top 5 competitors, right? The main target audience of this niche and the top pain points, right? So actually, I've already done some research for the one that I'm going to show you now, and I came up with this idea, Dream Analysis AI. And you can see here, I've got this like Chrome extension. It's called Keyword Surfer. And what we get here is just a kind of an estimated search volume. So what I really look for here is just, something. It doesn't really matter. Like obviously this, if it says 90,000 and this one says 90, there's obviously going to be a big difference in search. These numbers are not exactly correct. But yeah, I mean, obviously, dream interpreted is a much bigger topic than possibly dream analysis. But like, look at this. I've got dream analysis AI. So I've got this is something I can create. I also know that people are maybe looking for it. If you see Reddit threads, people asking is like, can I interpret my dream with AI or something like that? then you know it's a good idea, right? Yeah, I just look for some search volume anyway. That's a good one. Let's see what we got from Gemini. It's probably going to ask us. No, okay, we've got some ideas. So yeah, the number one idea that everybody's doing, blog post generator. So yeah, I'd be thinking, okay, go a little bit, you know, a little bit deeper, I suppose, a little bit more original, I suppose, because yeah, it's giving all the ideas that we already have tons of companies doing this. Same with that, it's going to be a bit more complicated. So you kind of just need to keep going like you do, chat, and try to figure out something a bit more niche, I suppose, because we don't want to be competing with people too big. You can do that as well, of course, but um, now there's a kind of the one that I'm talking about. That could be something very interesting. Let's have a look at that one. Okay, so AI voiceover generator. Okay, so we can connect with 11 Labs and actually do this. And yeah, we've got tons of search volume. Okay, so it's all about, choosing something that you think could have demand, right? So let's start with our idea here, Dream Analysis AI. I want to create a web app that is called Dream Analysis AI. Create me the web app, but without the functionality. So I just want to do this because I want to go step by step. You can almost just go straight away and say just start the app in React or something like that, or Next.js, depending on what you want. But I just want to create something basic, and then I'll start adding the APIs after that will be able to connect with OpenAI, ChatGPT to give me the response. So I'm also starting with a core functionality. The core functionality should allow a user to input their dream and have an output where analysis from a large language model like OpenAI. Okay, so analysis is spelled. It probably would have understood that anyway. But I also have this turned on, which is the dynamic reasoning. So I want that one because I use that one when there's kind of more context and scope of a project, and then the other one is called diff, and I use that when I just want to edit something small. So let's see what we get out here. Okay, so we have the first draft. Looks pretty cool. I'm not too sure about the purple color, but maybe that's okay. Yeah, so it has the input box, right? And I assume this isn't working. Let's test it out here. I was at sea and a bear attacked me. Okay, so it's already set up. It's like this is where the AI analysis will appear, currently in development. Okay, so yeah, one thing we don't really want is too much like mock data and mock stuff. So we'll have to make sure we'll add that into our next prompt. Okay, so we obviously want to use AI. So what we need to do is actually connect the OpenAI API key, right? You can get that over at API. Just Google and what you call it, OpenAI API keys, and you'll be able to set up an account for OpenAI, and you can get your secret key. But before that, we want to actually create the space for the API to actually work. Okay, so what we want to do now is create a Supabase Edge function to analyze the input of the user's dream, right? So a Supabase Edge function is basically, it's just going to store all of the information there. So that's what Supabase is. It's going to ask me to connect to Supabase in a moment, and we'll show you a little bit about that after. But it basically, just think about it as somewhere that you can store information, right? So Bolt works, in your browser. So it's just working there all the time, doing all this stuff really fast, but it's not storing any information for you. So that's how we actually store the information. And then I said, make sure all mock information is removed, because sometimes these AI are just, they're trying to do everything for you, which is great. Um, but I don't want any mock information. I don't want any of that stuff, because I want to actually publish and create this. Okay, so I want to get rid of anything like that. Okay, so let's go do that. Okay, so it's now done that, and yeah, I need to add new Supabase connections. So what I need to do now is connect to Supabase. Okay, and I have different projects here, but in this case, I want to create a new project. So we just call it Dreams, set up the password, and then create a new project. Okay, so it says it's all set up now and it's connected. You can also disconnect the Supabase here with this little button here. But yeah, it really should have actually just prompted me to add my API key, which it didn't. But anyway, maybe I can just do that because I know I have to do that. Okay, so down here, this is a Supabase here. So here we have the edge functions, right? So it's basically just, something that you can do to just do something to perform this action, right? And especially when you have API keys, these need to be stored somewhere else, right? Because if they're stored in Bolt, then people might be able to access them. So, you need to keep them safe. So here's my function, right? It can actually do analyze the dream, right? So I just need to go to my seek. Okay, so I just asked it to, should I add my OpenAI key? And it says yes, right? So I just need to copy this in is my name of my key, right, in my secrets. Okay, and then I went to OpenAI, and yeah, I'm not going to show you that part because I have too many keys there, and you can't really show other people your keys, right? So you just copy it in there. It's super easy to do, honestly. Just create a key and then copy the key over, right? You can ask ChatGPT for help if you need help, right? And then we just save that there. Okay, so now it is saying that it should be ready. Let's test it out. I was eating prawns in the morning. Let's see what we get from this, if this works. So we're analyzing our dream. I like this little loading screen. That's cool that it's actually doing that. And let's see if it actually works. Yes, we got a response. Right. Really good. This often happens. I'm just going to try to get rid of that now, but it's like eating prawns as a dream can carry various symbolic meanings. Prawns are often associated with their hard shells. Okay, so uh, this is obviously the first draft, but people do want, people have these dreams and they want, some sort of analysis. Okay, so we have a few little things still to do with this, but we do have a working tool. How quick and fast was that to actually create our first web app with Bolt? So really cool. Do you know what we can do now is like, especially if you're not an expert, like I'm not an expert in dreams. So what I can actually do is I can go out here to the open preview, right? And what I'm going to do is to take a screenshot. Okay, so I have this screenshot tool that I can just use. It's called Chrome Capture, so you can find that. But we can just do this and take a screenshot, copy it to our clipboard. And now what we're going to do is to ask ChatGPT, how can I improve this, right? Let's go for that. Okay, so I gave the screenshot and said, how can I improve my dream analysis AI? One thing you can actually do is ask like different ones. So ask Gemini, ask Claude, ask ChatGPT, right? So you can kind of go through these features and just decide, okay, I want to add this one. So I would definitely go like whisper more. Okay, like, yeah, a voice agent I think would be cool in this case, right? I think people would really enjoy that, or something a little bit more interactive, right? But for now, I'm quite happy that we have our first draft of our web app. Okay, so I now want to set up Stripe for my app, which is this Dream Analysis AI app. So I just said I want to add a payment gate so that users must pay a Stripe product fee to use this app. Please set this all up for me so that the user flow works well, and when they pay a one-time fee, they can create an account and log into the Stripe to this app whenever they want. Okay, so I want people, this is basically my app, but I want people to have to pay to get in to use this. So let's do this now. Okay, so the first thing that I'll have to do is actually log into my Stripe account. Okay, I already have one. So just go to the developer section here, and then we'll add the Stripe API key. Okay, so I just had to give authority to Stripe, check that it was actually me doing this. And now I can actually copy my API key in here. So I just clicked retrieve my products, right? So next thing I need to do is actually create a product, right, that I want to do for this one. So I just go into my product catalog here and create a new product. In this case, I'm just making it, one-off here and not recurring. So yeah, just add the product here. That's fine. So I need to go back and update my products now. And there it is. So I can click on that and apply the selection. So now it's going to set up all the pages for me and connect to Supabase. Okay, now we can actually check our Stripe here. Up here, you can see the API key is live and our products, one of them is activated, right? And our Stripe dashboard, you can also sync, right? We have a kind of a problem in this one that I've done because I only have this page, so I need to actually create a new page. Okay, so now when we click the Get Lifetime Access button, it opens up the Stripe portal. So Bolt has also added the success page and the sign up page so that when somebody pays, they can actually get access to our app. So we have a functional product now and the payment setup. So let's just add a little bit of SEO for this. Let's comment in my prompt here. I'll try to include this somehow in the link in the description, right? So basically, it's going through a lot of SEO and things that we need for our website, right? Because this is something that I found earlier. It's something that people are searching for is dream analysis. So I want people to find dream analysis, and then for my website to actually show up like that. There is a little bit of a problem the way that we're doing this for SEO. I'm going to get into that deeper in later in the video, right? Design, automation, all this stuff, and try to make this better. But for now, I just wanted to give you an overview, right? So let's just do some basic SEO first. Okay, so we have our technical SEO, our search engine optimization, so Google and other LLM searches and Bing and all these can actually read our website, right? We've also got our sitemap. This is basically just telling Google where each page is, all of that, and our robots.txt file. So I think we're actually ready now to actually deploy. We're also going to talk a little bit about exporting everything you can do. We're going to finish with the advanced section of the course, right? So let's deploy this website. Let's actually get it live. So all you just need to click is deploy, and it will go to Netlify and create the website for you deployed. Give you a link, right, so that anybody can use this website now. So we have a link now to it. So we do need to click on this link now to actually claim it as our own, right? And this will go to our Netlify account and say, okay, I want this link to actually be my website. So now I have my website. It is live, right? One thing you will want to kind of do is, this is not really SEO optimized, is it? This link is, yeah, I mean, you can share it with friends, but it's not a professional website, is it? So you want to click buy a new domain, right? You can buy domains elsewhere that might be a little bit cheaper than doing it the way that we're doing it here. But I'm just going to buy a domain here because it's handier for me. Don't really mind the extra few dollars, just that I can just buy my domain. So I'm just going to buy my domain, www.dreamanalysisai.com. Is that correct? We don't want to spell it incorrectly. Dream and did spell it incorrectly. Okay, dreamanalysisai.com. Right. You do get some SEO benefit from having it exactly what people are searching for. So in this case, I'm not going to spend too much time marketing it. If you want to create a big brand with your product, and if you're going to do something a bit more complicated, then maybe you might want to think more about this. But for this kind of project, I think this is fine. Okay, so it is available and I'll just buy it now. Okay, and as you can see, we have our website, dreamanalysisai.com. It says not secure there. Sometimes I think it takes a little bit of time to actually set up this SSL certificate. So you might want to check that that it does actually create the SSL. From my experience, it just seems to take a few hours or something before it's actually all done. Yeah, there it says new DNS records for your custom domain may take up to 24 hours. So it is fine. It's done. My website is ready to go, and I have done it. I have set up my own payment to my own web app, which goes inside. We did that pretty quickly. Like, you have to say, this was pretty quickly. Okay, I will go into brainstorming, and see, this is a type of simple app. I purposely chose this to be a simple app just to not overwhelm you with things at the beginning, but we'll go into kind of more advanced things because some apps on they just need way more features, right, to actually get them working. So yeah, we're going to go through that, but for now, that's it for the web app section. Okay, next up we have the mobile apps. So yeah, I haven't got that much experience, to be honest, making mobile apps. So this will just be kind of brief. If you want me to go into more detail, I do plan on making lots and lots of mobile apps. But yeah, if you want me to go into more detail, comment below and just say, let's do some mobile apps. And we'll definitely make some videos about mobile apps. That's definitely not a problem. But right now we're just going to think of like ideas, what we can do, types of mobile apps. Again, mobile apps are also being redone with AI. So like AI first, that actually executes the features of the mobile app. And yeah, I'm finding stuff that, even on my own phone that I can do, and just like really, really helpful stuff. So yeah, let's get into mobile apps. All right, so let's have a look at some mobile apps. So yeah, I'd use ChatGPT to give me some ideas. So I thought like 21 feature AI powered mobile app SaaS ideas, right? So You can think about these ideas. You have to think about people are using apps, mobile apps on their phones more. So, what are people doing on their phones? Just always keep that in mind when you're making a mobile app, right? So, whisper notes, okay, that's a good idea. AI note taker that turns your spoken words into organized notes. So, it'd be great, if you could do something like that, go out for a walk and take your phone and talk to it, and then it gets transcribed and gets sent to wherever your content creation. You can imagine a content creator would like that. So there's tons and tons of stuff right here, some good ideas, right? And just ask ChatGPT to get you started with an idea. So after looking through these a little bit, I really like this Serenity Now. I think lots of people do meditation and stuff like that. So let's have a go at this one. Yeah, let's make a description for this, right? So write a description for a mobile app. Okay, so we have a description now. We can build a mobile app with Expo. Okay, so we have our prompt here, right? And we will put in our description. Okay, so build a mobile app that helps generate personal meditations, right? And I just put in my description there. So let's make sure that this is actually on dynamic reasoning. It's not. Okay, so I changed it now to dynamic reasoning, and let's get started. So you'll notice Bolt is a little bit different when you are trying to do mobile apps, right? So you will see it now that obviously creates, the vertical format and not the full form. Okay, so when you actually build out your app, this is the first screen that you'll want to do. So you just need to download an app on the Google Play Store or Android called Expo Go, right? So I have it here on my phone, right? And it says to scan the QR code, right? So there's a button here, scan QR code, right? As soon as I want to do that, and I can just scan it like this with my phone. And now I will get a preview of the app. It's going to build out my app here for me. Okay, so now I can see it on my screen and also on my phone here. So let's have a look at it here. So you can say however you're feeling, and then you can generate a meditation. So this would be cool. You can imagine if you're having a bad day or something, you're anxious, you're stressed or something, and it talks about something specific. Let's say my boss is unkind. Okay, and we can generate, let's say I feel stressed. Okay. And I can just click generate meditation, right? And it starts a meditation. So I guess this isn't working now, but it's just set up, right? It's got a little library where you can save your meditations, your check ins, right? So that's pretty cool. You can just check in, and also it has settings. So everything is done for you. The whole mobile app is done. It's really, really cool. Well, I mean, it's not done because you still need to do this. Okay, but you will need a API and a voice, but you can see that we're already here. You can also check it out here and make it responsive, right? And check out different phone types here. And yeah, so that's the device preview. So the next step is obviously actually publishing it, and that's like one of the most difficult parts. So if you could press deploy here, it's a bit different. You can deploy it to the web. That one will be just easy. We'll just be able to use Netlify to actually deploy it to the web. But obviously, that's not exactly what we want to do with the mobile app, right? So while that's building the application here, if you click the deploy to App Store, you will be brought to this page here, right? So you have to go through the steps of publishing it to the Apple Store or to the Google Play Store, right? So you need to do all these requirements, sign up for the Google Developer account. So I'm going to make a whole video about this because I think this would be super interesting. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see that video of me starting a mobile app in Bolt.New and going through the whole process to try to get it published and submitted to the app stores. Okay, I think that would be super cool and interesting to do. Okay, so I do find it super cool to be able to make mobile apps as well. For example, I made this one. It's just got my own recording and I have it on my phone now, so I can just, use my own mobile apps, right? But it does get a bit more complicated than that. You need to set up something called Android APK, and I use a tool called Windsurf to do that. It's a bit more complicated than Bolt to use, but it has the same sort of agent system where you just keep asking it. Just go in there, ask it to do what you want, and then you can add your own mobile app. So that's it for this section. Let's move on to the next. All right, and this last part, right, we're going to go through a little bit more advanced stuff and stuff that's fun, everything that I couldn't fit into the other sections, basically. So let's have a think about SEO. little bit about marketing and design, right? So I found some super cool design tips. So yeah, you've done great so far. Well done. Keep going, keep going. We can actually do this. We can keep going. Next section, we can do it. Let's do it. So the possibility with the tool like Bolt.New, the possibilities are just endless. So in this section, we're just going to go through some advanced use cases, advanced information that you might know, and yeah, let's break it down into some things that are a little bit fun, and then some things that maybe are a bit more complicated and technical. So let's get started with this. So a cool, fun thing that we can do is actually just to create new things and new designs, right, with Bolt and other tools. So for example, I wanted to make some image or video actually for my website, right? We can embed this onto our website. So I just said create an image of a Bolt. Supposed to say blonde there, but anyway, I got this image from ChatGPT. It looks pretty cool to me, right, in the style. And then I took the background image from my website, right? So I'm using a Chrome extension called Color Picker to do this, right? And the idea is that so it just blends nicely into this. I'm not sure if it will do that exactly because you can see there's a gradient. So it's like the color is slightly changing going across. But anyway, let's see what we get. So we get the image, right? And that looks pretty cool. I don't want something too, too much stuff in it. So this is perfect. Then I went over to Runway, right, and just asked, like, for the woman gently nods her head and is at peace, right? So it's to give this idea that, you have a nice dream and then you analyze it, and it's kind of in this meditation niche and all of that, right? So I like that. I think I'm going to download that. What I can do now is actually store this in my Supabase account. So let's go there. So to do that, I just need to go to my storage here, and then I can add a new bucket. Okay, and I can add a video there. So it makes it a little bit more complicated if you make it private. So I'll just make it public in this case. So I just need to change this now to video, right, and save it here. So now all I need to do is upload my video here. Okay, I'm gonna try to rename this because this will get quite awkward. So I'll just say woman here, and that'll make it easier for me now. So what I just need to do is to get the URL, right? So and now go back to Bolt and say, before this actually I just said move this to the left so I can add a video. That's all I did there. So I think that will look a bit cooler, right? So let's say add the video stored in Supabase. As the video in the hero section. Don't know why I keep spelling video with two E's, but anyway, that's what I keep doing. So we should just be able to do that. We can also select the element here to make it that one if we want, but let's just, if this select element sometimes doesn't work, you just need to refresh the preview again, and then it should be working, right? So let's see how we get on here. Okay, so I got the video working first time. Yeah, it does have the branding. I'll need to pay, I suppose, to get rid of that. Yeah, the coloring is a little bit messed up. I don't know what's going on here now, because it looked like it would have been pretty good already, but you can see it's kind of nice. It's on autoplay already. I forgot to actually ask for that, but yeah, I think that's good. I don't know why this sides are happening there. I think it would be perfect if it didn't have that. But anyway, I like it already. I think that's pretty cool. So these are ways that you can use, advanced things to design to add things to your website, right? So just try to think about your user, right? Is like somebody who's looking for dream analysis. They're probably thinking, peaceful or something like that, right? It's some little cool thing. So I also thought about one of my other websites, and I thought, oh, okay, this is cool. That's me sitting in a cafe, right? Working on my laptop, right? So this is for my Bolt course, my Make Money Bolt course, and then made it into a video. So I could add this to my homepage, right? And I think this adds a little bit of something interesting to your website. I also think you could do things, like effects. I suppose you could have like the whole background, imagine as stars or something like that. So make this whole thing a video that's like replaying over and over again. So little cool tips to add, some design and using AI to yeah, we just need to use AI to make all these cool things because I would have no idea how to do this otherwise. Okay, so now moving on to something a little bit more technical. We'll go between technical and more fun things to keep this interesting a bit. So, talking a little bit about SEO, right? So, SEO, if you're not familiar, is search engine optimization. So, you want people to type into Google or ChatGPT and find your website. Okay, so this can get a bit technical. When I do SEO, often it's I create content, right, so that people can find it, right. So whatever the topic might be, I also use exact match domains, right. So that's why I use Dream Analysis AI earlier. That's my keyword, and I use those exact words to show Google what my website is about, and that's really the key, right? Is showing Google what your website is about. So with Bolt, it actually makes it a little bit more complicated. So you can see this Google search, right? I put Bolt.New course, right? And my course is actually coming up here, number one, which is great. Okay. But you can see there's not much information. So here with Bolt, you have a sentence here, but there are actually plenty more features here that you could actually have. So, well, even Udemy here, they don't have too much information, but there are like little extra things that you can add to your website so that it comes up. So we have here the favicon, right, is missing here, but it does show something about it, right, and it was showing something before, so it is possible to get information um, that Google can actually see. But let's have a little bit of a think about that. So this is kind of the big issue, is like serve crawlable HTML content. Okay, so I recommend implementing server-side rendering or static site generation to ensure the content is indexable without requiring JavaScript execution. So that's the prompt, right? But we need to be very, very careful because most of the default option for Bolt is actually to use React and Vite, their coding languages, right? And yeah, the basically how it works is it's rendered in the client serving way of doing it, instead of actually serving up the information, the HTML, right, to the browser. So it can be quite difficult for Google to actually read a website like this. And as we see here, this is the problem, right? So I would only do this depending on what you're actually doing, right? So if you want more like a website that's more about content, then yes, I would do this prompt and use Next.js, right? I go through a little bit more about that in one of my videos in the other course, right? But yeah, you want to use Next.js. So if you want to do that, just open up Bolt.new and just go down here to, and you can either use Astro if you want to set up a blog, right, or use Next.js. So you just use this one instead of just typing in here. You just use Next.js, and then that will be better for SEO, right? But yeah, we can also use all of this information. So use title tags, right? So Google knows what the title of the website is about, so that will come up stuff like this. That's the title tag, right? And then the more information, right? Uh, Descriptive meta description, right? So that's usually what comes up, right? In here, that's the meta description. This part here. So you can ask Bolt to do this, and it does it all for you. And then this, just be careful with this one. To minimize the JavaScript, because page speed is obviously important as well. And when you're creating websites, right, that people don't want to wait around, do they, for a website to load? So it's important, but not like super, super important. Then you create a sitemap, right? So when you have this, it basically shows Google where each page is. Like if you think about it, every single page on the internet has an address. So this sitemap will just show Google easily, like, oh, this web page is over here, my login is over here, all of that. So it's easy for it to crawl, right, so that it can be crawled and indexed by Google. So I have more information here about, yeah, tons about SEO, and I'll make a whole section in a document that go along with this course with all the prompts and everything that you need. So you can sign up for it down below in the description. Okay, so if you do want to search your website and maybe it hasn't appeared right on Google yet, like this website we just made earlier, so it's Dream Analysis AI, right? So I put site semicolon and then the actual site, and now you can see what it looks like. It's serving all of the information that we need. So I did some of the SEO, and we're finding. I just asked for the title tag and the description, right? So that will appear. So that's all you need to do, and then you can get some SEO. Now Google knows what this is about, and yeah, it can serve this to people. Obviously, now it's like easier if somebody's looking for a dream analysis AI is like, oh, I know I trust this website a bit more than the other website, right? So this is the basic way. Obviously, if you want to add more, then it's a bit more complicated and more information. But this is a good idea here. Is like you can actually do this if it's called schema markup. So I'll leave that in the document as well. So for example, if you're doing a recipe or something, then it's a good idea to add a schema markup or reviews or something like that. So let's have a look at some of that. Okay, so just typed in pancakes recipe, and you can see that all of these, it's very typical in this niche, in the cooking niche, to have a lot of schema markup. So you can see that Google is actually pulling a lot more information, right? The reviews. So this is a schema markup, and all of these extra links directly to different pages, right? And you can do all sorts of stuff with this, that gives it a bit more information, especially with AI now often coming up in here, then yeah, you want to give Google as much information as possible. Okay, so let's keep going with the use cases of Bolt. So did you know that you can actually create games in Bolt? Right, so this is not something that I'm an expert in or anything like that. I've just been playing around, right? So here's a little tried to make a motorcycle game. Okay, yeah, I mean, obviously you could do it a bit of work, but you can see I'm moving forward. The buildings are for some reason in the middle of the road, but tons of people are actually making games like this. So obviously, yeah, you just keep asking it to change things as you go and say, okay, the buildings are not good, stuff like that. You can also make card games, right? So that could be something that you do. I don't even actually know how to play gin rummy, but this is a good way to actually educate yourself on things as well, to actually have visual interactions with things. That's what I'm finding. I'm using Bolt just to teach me how to do things. So for example, I just said, okay, I don't even know how to play this game, can you put the rules there? So now I have some rules, and I can say, okay, what do I do, and follow the rules and just start playing, right? So you can start a new game there. So yeah, it's pretty cool that I can just make these card games, and then obviously just publish them, and then you can play them and make them multiplayer, something like that. Another one that we can do is this one, right? It's a face. Somebody made this on Twitter, a guy called Ian Curtis. So you need to just add your face there, and it actually tracks your face and follows everything that you're doing. So if I wink or do anything like that, so that's cool if you can just build upon other people's projects. So I'll leave a link to his Twitter so you can see that as well. Just close this one down. Here's another one that I did in another video. So this is a voice model of myself, right? So I actually I recorded my own voice on 11 Labs, and yeah, I added that to my project, right? So I can actually just talk to an AI version of myself. You can imagine if you think about all these things, just say, okay, this is the first draft, right? So this is the first draft of this, but I can create tons and tons of things. I could add, a knowledge base with all of my videos, for example, and then you could talk to me about anything in my videos, or any person with like any sort of knowledge, right? It could be a scientist, it could be your teacher, right? You can imagine a teacher having something like this, and then student needs help with their homework, and then they can literally ask their teacher, right? They can get a picture of them up, or even better, some sort of video model. You can imagine with the last one as well added on. So there's tons and tons of use cases with this. Like, this is version 0.001, obviously, but I'm definitely going to be doing a lot with this. This is like super exciting to me, that I can just add my own voice, right? So I can create different personas that people can practice something with me, or with anyone else for that matter. There's tons and tons of voices there, different languages, all that stuff. So I hope this is getting your idea flow going well. Another one is this one. Again, I think this is by Ian Curtis. I'll show his Twitter there. So I just kind of actually added more stuff to this. And yeah, you can just shoot this gun up and down. It's pretty cool. The physics of it are pretty amazing, right? So you can walk around. Obviously, yeah, it's fairly basic at the moment, but you can jump up and down. But I didn't know it. I didn't know I could follow. I died. What happened here? Oh no, I'm still alive. I've never actually jumped over the wall before. I'm out of the game. Okay. Well, tons of people are actually creating games and stuff, right? So that's also something that you can be playing around with. Again, not an expert on this, but I've managed to break my own game here, and that's not good. But anyway, let's get on to a little bit of something else, right? So, one thing we can use a lot for our research, and because Bolt does need a bit of hold handing, I think it's also good to improve your own ideas and knowledge, right? It's like think things through. That's a difficult sentence. It's like you need to think things through, right? So that you can get the best out of Bolt, right? So, let's start with this. We'll use the deep research, right? This takes several minutes to do. So if you're short of ideas, right, this can be good to just spark the brain going, right? So find me 20 amazing one feature AI SaaS ideas for the B2C market. And maybe actually I'll make that B2B market. So it's like the business market, it can be easier, right? B2C is often a bit more difficult to market to, right? You need to make a lot more content, stuff like that. So make it for entrepreneurs, people interested in being creators, vibe codes, etc. So that's going to take a while, right? So while that's actually going, I just want to see. Sometimes it asks you for another question, and then it will start doing the research. But while we're actually going to find our idea, we're going to go through a process of advanced vibe coding, right? So I was watching another video about this and I kind of used that and just developed it a little bit to have a process. So this guy, I think his name is Gil, and he put his prompts there. So I changed them a little bit for Bolt as well. So yeah, I'll add this in the document that comes along with this course. Let's see how we're getting on here. Yeah, that's fine. Let's just start that. Right. So step one is to find your idea. Okay, we need to have an idea, right? And then if it's a business idea, we want to define the problem and the solution, right? So all businesses should have a problem. You should start there. And it's like, okay, we have a problem. How can I solve this, right? And how can we use Bolt to solve the problem, right? So whatever it is that people want, and there are different types of problems, right? I think they're called, what's it, painkillers and vitamin problems, right? So painkillers are things that you really need to solve like straight away, like, oh no, I'm in pain, I need to solve this, right? And then other ones are vitamins, right, where it's like, oh, this is nice to have, is like, I would like to have this to improve my life, right? They're often a little bit more difficult to sell, right? So that's something to think about. So this is going on the process, right? So brainstorm your idea. So just basically open up a document, right? And to showcase you, just get everything out, whatever it is you want to do, and just type it out. Or I use a Chrome extension to speak. So I just press my Chrome extension, and then all of my words come out here when I'm typing, right? Actually, it doesn't work in Google Docs, but whenever I'm typing into the box here, I can just type out anything I want. So that's a good way of just brainstorming, right? And getting all your words out straight away into the doc, right? And that's really a good way of actually working, right? So this is what it's called, vibe coding. So you're just asking, you know tools like Bolt to just get what you want. So it's good to actually brain dump as well. Just let the juices flow and try to get as much as you can, right? And then because I'm not a developer, right, it's great to have developers who are also sharing information, right? So yeah, that this is the prompt, right? So we want to refine the brainstorm, right, so that it's a bit more yeah, as in makes a bit more sense, right? Because maybe what we write isn't exactly grammatically perfect, or it's a bit all over the place. So the next step then is to put the refined text into deep research, right? So it'll actually research all about that topic. So you get stuff like this. You can use Gemini or ChatGPT. I think that's paid though. So We got a report there that's pretty good because it's pretty fast. So AI driven lead scoring, okay, prioritization. Okay, so it's come up with some creative ideas here. um yeah, but let's go back to the process here. So we put the refined text into deep research, and then add all the docs that we have before, to give as much context as possible. Gemini could take a ton of context, and then we want to use a thinking mode. So a thinking mode is one of these thinking modes here. It uses advanced reasoning, so it's just a different way that the AI works. But we can use that then to create our PRD. So it's product road development. So it's kind of just going to go through step by step everything. So if we want to create something, bigger, it's better to do it step by step, because then there'll be less errors, right? So this is a good idea if you want to create something bigger, right? Some of the things, like example that I made in this video, it's a lot simpler, right? There's just one simple feature, right? But you can imagine if you keep adding features, then it's going to get a bit more complex if you think about all of that up front, right? So it depends a lot on what you're building. But if you want to do something a bit more advanced, complex, then it's a good idea to use this. Also, Bolt can get a bit, if there's too many errors, it gets a bit, frustrating sometimes. I also use a tool called Windsurf when things actually get too complicated and I start having problems here. So sometimes, depending again, if you're connected to Supabase and all these things, then it might be a good idea to export all your code. You just download it and then get Windsurf and add it to that. It's a bit more technical, right? And this is a course about Bolt, so I'm not really going to go too much into that. But let's go through this process a little bit with one of these ideas. So it actually gave me a ton of deep research is insane. Like, it's just gone through so many good ideas here as well. The first one, actually, AI powered content remixing engine. I've thought about this myself already because of this specific problem, right? That's what I was talking about with the problem, right? Is like the time and effort required to create diverse content formats. I still can't believe we live in a world where it's like you can't just click one button and I've got like everything formatted like as an image that this video could be an image, text, everything in one click, right? I just can't believe we don't have something like that already. So yeah, you can imagine like you can take someone else's piece of content and use AI to create, like, could be an image and then create a new image. Okay. So I just brain dumped some of that quickly in here. So let's do our process a little bit. So basically, if you want to go through this process, then that is a good way to get going, and then break it down into the features and just go put it through Bolt one by one. Right. So other things that you can do with Bolt, I'm just going through some other things that I've been using Bolt for. So this one is just I just created my own tool for my own use. So think about whenever you're doing something, you're like, oh, I want to create, like in my case, I want to create like a mind map, right, where I could just connect different things to each other, right? And I didn't even think about researching or any other ones, and they always end up being paid or have too many features or something like that. So in this case, I just made one for myself, so I could just plan out different things for this video, for example. So this is a great thing to do if you want to save money, for example, or if there's feature bloat, because sometimes software that we use, like for example Notion, it's a very popular software, but for me, I just find it just has too many features. I get completely lost in it. I'm like, oh, what is even happening? I can't deal with this. So, creating something easier and simpler or free, if if you're paying for something, then that's also a good thing. You can also think about automation. So I used make.com, right, to create an automation for one of my sites. So what I can do is actually, so this is like a database and Superbase, right? So it watches the event. So as soon as this is a video that I made in the course, right, for a local lead generation project, right? So as soon as a new lead comes in to the Superbase, then I automatically send an email to my local business with the lead. So basically, I can set up things automatically, and make.com will take care of everything else. So I don't think there's any modules for Bolt.New yet, but you can do things with email and Superbase. So when you're using Superbase to do things, you can automate some of the processes. Okay, that's obviously a bit more advanced and down the line, but another good idea for things that you can be thinking about later on down the line. So that's it for the course. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope you will subscribe to the channel because I'm going to create so much more amazing content all about Bolt.New, creating our own products with Bolt and other such apps like this. And I also want to teach you how to market them. I think that's a super important thing to know about, right? We do want to create all of this stuff with AI, but we can also use AI to market it. So subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions at all, please leave them down below in the comments. I will be happy. I read every single comment and I will reply to you and try to help you as best I can.